I know, right? Thank you all so much for being here. Mary, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
You obviously are a lot of the time shown working on the show, and you have created this world that has shown you juggling your actual job and filming. So I'm curious what the secret to that is.
Ooh, never sleeping. No, I am lucky enough to have an amazing assistant that's also a real estate agent. So when I am filming, I did this way too late. Lost many clients in the meantime because I thought I could do it all, and it's not possible. And so I hired someone so when I am filming, she can answer questions and do things. And then, and then I don't sleep. Really.
I was going to say, has it changed through the seasons? Like, have you gotten better at it since it started?
Yeah. And luckily, we start selling more and higher end homes where some people want to be on, some people don't. Mm-hmm. So, it just depends. This previous season, I didn't really, I wasn't really featured quite as much because production was very kind to me and let me take a step back from all the drama that... Mm-hmm. I don't know why I'm on reality because I'm like, I really do hate the drama. But they let me take a step back to try to protect me in the meantime. But then, when everything happened, then they also tried to respect, what I was going through. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Sasha, I'm going to pivot down to you. You have been a drag superstar for a very long time, but it took you a little bit to join RuPaul's Drag Race. So why did you wait, and why was then the right time to join?
Well, I've been doing drag for about 22 years now, and Drag Race has been going on for 15 seasons. So I've actually watched my career alongside Drag Race and watching something that is so special to me and very personal. Like, to many queer people, drag is your therapist, your best friend, your safe haven in a world that wants to outcast you a lot of times. So for that to become the global monster that it has become with so many franchises, and it was wild. Yes, queer stories, my loves. What's better trauma than queer stories, right? But I think just being able to watch it grow, and then I never really saw a space for trans drag on Drag Race, so I never really saw someone like me on it until season 14, where I got to see my own drag daughter, Carrie Colby, who's here right now. She was the first trans woman to walk into the workroom as a fully realized, happy trans woman. And that spoke to me and allowed me to go there's someone like me, and I'm ready to show them what trans drag is, because you can't tell the story of drag without talking about trans drag.
Amazing. I love that. Paige, turning to you a little bit. When you joined your show, did you come in knowing that you would be part of a multiverse in a way? Because let's be honest, that's what this has turned into.
No, I didn't realize I was going to be a Marvel character at all. Because the first weekend I filmed Summer House, I went into the bathroom because that was the only place there wasn't cameras. And I called my mom and I said, "You got to get me out of here. This is not for me. I can't do this." And she said, get through the weekend, and then if you don't ever want to do it again, you don't have to. We'll help you figure it out. But by Sunday, I was like, I think I love attention, and I think I'll stay.
Well, since you brought that up, have any of you had moments where you're like, maybe I don't want to do this? Should I throw in the towel?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
2 weeks before my finale, I was like, I got to go. I was on edge, truly. Yeah.
1,000%, yeah. After the Palm Springs trip, I was like, I really don't care. I know this is a good thing. I know it helps, but bye. Yeah. No. Hey, so I actually had a legit call with my husband, and I was like, I'm done. I really am. But I gave it a couple days, and I'm back.
Just kidding. Charity, obviously you are crushing it on Dancing with the Stars.
Thank you.
But I'm curious how that transition was for you, going straight from Bachelorette, popping out to Paradise for a little cameo, and then right to Dancing with the Stars, which a few people here have done. We've seen a few other people here.
Yes.
But how was that for you? Was there a point where you're like, maybe I should take a breather, or did you want to just keep going?
I definitely thought about it, like, obviously before I even accepted, like, the opportunity to do Dancing with the Stars. I knew, like, the timeline was going to be very tight, and I was like, okay, I have always been very intentional with my relationship and engagement with Dotun, and I was debating on, like, if this is something that I should do, but I think because we definitely put in, like, all of the proactive measures of, like, putting our relationship in a healthy place and space, I was like, okay, this is something that we can tackle together. And so because I knew I wasn't going to enter this arena alone, it made it a lot easier. But definitely, like, I'm not going to say it wasn't challenging at all, because I have not had a beat since like a year and a half, so I've been going full force. So definitely am exhausted, but I will say this whole thing has been so well worth it.
So you'll be taking a nap after the finale.
We will be taking more than a nap, like a whole day.
You deserve it. You deserve it. I feel like something we see a lot in reality TV is obviously cast members come in and out of different shows. And I'm curious, many of you have been able to keep friendships with people when they leave or when new people come in. What is that challenge like for you guys? Because you are filming a show, but also especially in your real life. So especially, I feel like Mary and Paige, you guys both can kind of talk about that.
So I started Summer House with my best friend, and when she was fired off of the show, it was devastating to me, particularly because she was my security blanket. And I think ultimately it was the best thing that ever happened to her and to myself, because we started our podcast, Giggly Squad, which is... Thank you so much. Which is truly like the best part of my week. And I don't think we would have ever gotten that if we didn't go through her leaving the show and us pivoting of like, well, we still have to work together in some capacity, and how do we do that? And so, yeah.
What about you?
There's some people that I don't really... But I have Heather here though,
yes,
and so
exactly.
Heather's not on the show this season, but nothing is going to keep me away from her. Yeah. She is like an angel, and I love her, and I am trying every single time I can get her back on. So I'm gonna succeed. I know I will.
No update yet, but we're all
I'm working
crossed.
on it.
Okay,
yeah, I don't like to fail. So
you have some connections there. Let's pull some strings.
Yeah.
Sasha, I'm curious for you, what has been the most exciting / challenging part of being on the show? And then afterward, you've been popping up on all of the spinoffs. You've been all over the place. How has that been for you?
The most challenging part about being on the show, I mean, being away from your phone, being sequestered, sending everybody home was really nice. But period winner. But I think like just being able to be on the platform, like I knew like once I got on the show, I was like, all I need is just to get on the show, like get my foot in. And like so many girls who have been on the show that maybe not necessarily have won, but they have made insane careers, like seeing Kim Chi, she's doing a makeup line, seeing all these people, they're just pursuing their dreams by just being themselves is really inspiring. So I think that's the best thing when getting on this show is you're like a brand, right? We're a brand, and as a brand, you're selling yourself to RuPaul, and you have to know like the weaknesses and the strengths of your brand and how to market that, and how to make it endearing even if it's not beneficial for you. And I think that's what helps us after, how to really like grab the brass ring.
Mm-hmm. I think the word brand and you bringing that up is so important, I guess, and really relevant to tonight, because I think a lot of people in reality TV, you guys do become a brand in a way and a representative of something, even if you didn't mean to. So I'm curious for you, for anyone who wants to talk on this, when it comes to, especially on social media, staying true to yourself, but also staying true to this brand or this persona that people think they know from the show, and what the struggles with that are. Any of you?
I'll go. I think for me, when I first started on Summer House and I was posting things on Instagram and I had like 200 followers and it was like everyone I went to high school with. And I would post and they would be like, I think Paige is losing it. Like, what is going on? And then when I got on the show, I tried to continue to post to just those 200 followers. And like, I tried to put out that there were people that I didn't know that were watching me and tried to stay my authentic self. And I think when you're on reality TV, you can go into filming and think, this is how I want to come off. This is who I think I am. This is what I want people to see. And then the camera just does not lie at all. So sometimes like being called out and being a little humbled is actually, I think, really good for personal growth. And so sometimes it's a little harsh, but I do take like constructive criticism for sure.
Charity, what about you?
Yeah. I think very similar to what Paige was saying. It's like I went into the space of like obviously being Bachelorette, and I knew who I was beforehand, and I didn't want like cameras like worrying about an edit like to transform me into something that I wasn't. And so I have honestly been very private when it comes to social media. I do not post as much as I probably should. And I don't regret that because I think it's something that's also something so sacred to me and obviously like my relationship. Certain things that you kind of have to like just kind of keep the tabs a little bit closer on. But in terms of like branding myself, like I have stayed true to myself from start to finish, and that's never going to change, and I'm not going to be apologetic for that. I never want to transform myself or see myself kind of go into someone that I'm not, because and that's really hard. It's hard to keep up with that, like when you aren't true to yourself. And so yeah, I mean, I guess branding yourself, like it's tricky. But for me, it's obviously before I came into Bachelorette, I was in the mental health arena. So I definitely just want to continue to utilize now that I have a platform for things that are going to continue to inspire people. Like people have resonated with me in my journey for a reason, and I just want that to just continue on. Mm-hmm.
Definitely. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a terrible liar. So I mean, just horrific. So and I feel like I don't give what the other people do on a show. Like I'm not an arguer. I don't do fights and stuff like that. So when I started doing social media, I'm also not a huge social media fan, believe it or not. And as things were going on in my life, I felt like a fraud if I didn't tell certain things. That I once I started realizing that a lot of people suffer from things. I mean, I'm married, so I'm not trying to find a man. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and talk about this. So should I say it?
Talk about whatever you want.
People are eating too. I don't know. Yeah, so I mean, I have stomach issues, like IBS issues and stuff. And I was like, you know what? That no one wants to hear about this. But the more people I talk to about it, everyone's like, shit, you know what? I do too. And I was like, okay. And so, yeah, I know. You're welcome, guys. So, but I'm married, happily married. So, you know.
That's why
but you have no idea how many people were like, oh my God, please, what is like this? Because I actually did find something that worked. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going to do it. Yeah. And so I started talking about it. And like, it was insane. Then when it was my ADHD, people say, and half the time I can't remember, like when by the time it goes down there and it comes back, I'm like, what was the question again? Right. So, and I make awareness for that because it's like, it's something that I have had to learn how to juggle in my life. I have to write everything down. I have to have notes. And I've been very, very successful. But it's something that is a huge, huge challenge for me. And to act like I don't have it, it just, I wouldn't be, it would be disingenuous. And I just can't do that because people are going to figure it out. I mean, you can just watch me and I'm a spazzo. So, I mean, you're going to figure it out. Yeah, I thought, you know what, if it can help people, same thing with the miscarriage. I was like, okay, do I want to talk about it? Is it fun? No. But how many people actually go through this? How many people can it help? So
100%. That's right. And that's, I think, what we've been talking about all night is why these women, all of you and everyone in here is so relatable. I mean, that's, you guys are showing your lives and letting people in. Is there a line? Do you guys have a conversation, whether it's with your friends and family, whether it's in the mirror and, you know, in your car, of, okay, I'm drawing the boundary here? Is that something you draw before you start filming a show? Is it something you draw maybe in the middle of shooting? Like, okay, this is my boundary.
I feel like when Candy said, if it comes up, it comes out, that was like, I'm making that my Instagram bio, but that was so good. And I just feel like that's so true. I think you can go into a season kind of like thinking, oh, I have a plan of what I want to show, but it's your genuine real life. So things happen and they film certain things that you would have never planned to have filmed. So I think it's hard to like try and put together something before you start filming, because if it comes up, it comes out. Yeah.
What about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I agree wholeheartedly. I think I mentioned that in the first question of like when you go into a season, especially like me being like on The Bachelorette or being on The Bachelor, to be so consumed and worried about like what your edit is going to be, or like, you know, whatever's in the hands of the producers, like it's detrimental and it's really hard, and I feel like it prohibits people from like really flourishing and connecting with the audience. And I will have to say, like, I can toot my own horn here, if like that was something like I didn't even care about. Like, I was my true self, and I think when you enter these spaces and you allow yourself to have like the freedom to just exist, to just be, like, at the end of the day, we're all human, so like nobody's perfect. Like, we're going to make mistakes, we're going to do things that not everyone's going to agree with, and that's okay. But like when you give yourself that like autonomy to like just do that, like it is so much better. You have less to stress about, less to worry about. And so I can definitely say wholeheartedly, like, that was my experience, and I'm so grateful that I didn't get consumed with that, because I think if I had, my season probably would have ended very differently. Yeah. So there you go.
Sasha, did you want to add anything?
You know, I think it's different because these ladies, they have done multiple seasons, or, you know, it's a different kind of layout from Drag Race. And for me, it was like, you have one shot to try and make this. Like, I am going to offer myself onto the altar and be so vulnerable and put everything out there, because what do I have to lose? And I found out like 10, 11 years ago when I won Miss Continental, there's a question answer part on stage, and it's always about revealing your vulnerability. And I realized there was always something that I was stuck on not revealing about myself. And the second I did it, I won Miss Continental. And then I was able, thank you. I was heavily addicted to crystal meth from the ages of 19 to 23, and I was so scared to say that out loud. I can't believe I'm saying it in front of all the people I watch on TV right now. But, that shame carried me to not getting my blessing. So I was blocking my blessing. And I realized the second I did that, not only did I get my blessing, but I was able to help other people through my vulnerability to be powerful. I got so much emails and so much DMs from drag queens that I would look up to that are battling addiction, and just seeing my success or my drive has made them not want to, you know, and that's really powerful.
Yeah,
really powerful.
100%. Thank you guys so much for coming up and chatting for a little bit. You guys can head off the stage, and we're gonna go right into the last panel. Thank you again so much, guys. Give it up.